Welcome to the Connected Leaders Academy virtual conference designed to reshape your vision of transformation. As we navigate the evolving business landscape, our speakers will unveil innovative strategies to manage and initiate change. Prepare to adapt, innovate, and lead, ensuring your role as a catalyst in this transformative era.
Hi, I'm Deb Smart, and I'm here to share with you information about how to be a servant leader with a heart. I will cover what is a servant leader, what are the key attributes of a servant leader, what is the goal of a servant leader. And as I share this, I really will be taking you through my personal journey because you don't wake up one day and say, I want to be a servant leader. It comes over time as you evolve and you involve yourself in the areas of service, whether it's through your church, your community, or your family. My personal journey started when I was 17 years old. But let me tell you the attributes first of a servant leader. I had no clue that I would be doing what I'm doing today and how what I do today affects so many of my clients and my friends and my family. The key attributes is integrity, humility, vision, accountability, and patience. And when I wrote that down, I started thinking about Galatians 5:22 to 23, where it talks about the fruit of the Spirit. And that there you have love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Well, the two that I challenge, of course, are patience and self-control. I am still a child at heart, and it's really hard for me sometimes to just sit still. But a couple of years ago, I did hear the Lord tell me to be still. And at that time, I didn't realize that He was taking me on a journey where I would be caring for my husband. And as I reflect back, all of the years of being a servant leader unconsciously came into play as I took care of Willie. Now, I have actively built my servant leader, what I call foundation, with a combination of my personal and my entrepreneurial spirit. I help first time and aspiring authors get their stories published and help them build a platform. And through that process, I don't consider myself a leader or a coach. I walk side by side with them to help them relax and not get that mental block that we all get that, oh, this sounds terrible. I just tell them it just right. Whenever you're doing anything, just breathe, be still, and just go with the flow. You can either go around it, go over it, or go through it, but don't let it stop you. And as developing a heart of a servant leader, one of the things that I believe is the Greenleaf Center of Leadership, they say a servant leader focuses primarily on the growth and well-being of people and communities to which they belong, while traditional leadership generally involves the accumulation and exercise of power by the one at the top of the pyramid. Servant leadership is so different. The servant leader shares power, puts the needs of others first, and helps people develop and perform at as highly level as possible that they can. It helps them, like I guess a flower, open up and develop into that beautiful fragrant flower or plant that the Lord designed them to be. I enjoy sharing my knowledge and power with my clients and associates. Now, I'm taking you on a short journey because the only way I can really tell you how to be a servant leader is to show you how through my development, I became a servant leader. I graduated in 1967 excuse me, every time I say that, it's like, oh my God, I'm old. I graduated in 1967 from Germantown High School at the age of 17. Earlier that year, I had told my dad I wanted to be a archaeologist. I, or, early in my high school, when you decide what you want to do, go to college. I told my dad I wanted to be an archaeologist, but he said, nope, don't think so. That's not going to work for you. You got to remember that was in the 60s and the 70s. So things were kind of different for Black opportunities at that time. And I think that's what where he was coming from. So instead of going to college, being the person that I am, if I can't do what I want to do, I ain't going to do what you want me to do. Sorry, that's how I used to be. I don't think I'm like that anymore. Anyway, instead of going to college, I took my first job at Bell Telephone as an information operator before Bell Telephone got dismantled. And I was an information operator. And during that time, I had the occasion of working from 11 to 7 in the morning. And every seemed like every Saturday, this guy would catch me on my, because there were only like two or three of us on the job at that time, and he would try to talk me out of it. But of course, I was like 18, 19 years old. I was not having any of that. So anyhow, I wrote about that. My first time I tried to get my work published, I sent it off to Red Book magazine, and they said it wasn't realistic because what I did was, instead of having them just go out on a date, I wrote the characters that, not knowing the fact that she was Black and he was white. And she said, no, that's not a realistic story. But that's what really happened to me. Because I spoke the way I did, I didn't have a dialect where people could tell where I was coming from. This guy thought I was white. But anyhow, so that was my first venture of being rejected. And I met a man called Gary LaForest. He worked with a guy, David Gerlitz, that was his client. And I published his first book when Gary talked me into launching my first business, my second business, which is Gladstone Publishing Services. I left corporate in 1985 and launched my first business, Direct Connections Incorporated, where I helped individuals with their, creating a way to get their benefits and payroll information off of spreadsheets and into a database. I was one of the first IBM PC programmers in database programming at that time. And it was an awesome opportunity. And what happened was I learned how to look towards my clients' needs as opposed to me being, oh, I'm great, I'm an IBM programmer. No, I traveled between Washington, Washington and not Washington, D.C., but Washington, District of Columbia, Maryland, New Jersey, New York, Long Island, up to Connecticut, just setting up these programs. And I loved it. I loved it. I learned how to have the confidence to walk into these strange offices, not knowing anybody, but yet I was able to develop the skill of listening. And that is one of the traits of a servant. A servant leader listens to the needs of the people that they're working with, their community, their church, even their families. So I developed that skill. What I didn't tell you was that when my dad told me I couldn't go to be an archaeologist, I decided I wanted to be an airline stewardess. Well, I didn't make that either because he paid $100 for the tuition. And when it came time for me to go, it turned out to be a scam. So that's when I started work at Penn Mutual. I was lucky to have my sister-in-law working there at the time. So pay attention. That's another thing to develop is pay attention to who do you know that at the time can help you out of your bind. Again, don't get stuck. You can go around, you can go over, or you can go under, but don't let it stop you. Look for the solutions. Okay, so I worked at Penn Mutual. And my job, I don't know if I said this already, but my job was counting a piece of paper called a flimsy and putting that in a pile. And that's what I did. I think I started work at 8:30 in the morning. I left at 4:30. This is all I did. 15. Oh my God. I think I lasted on that job for like 6 months. And then I moved up to junior file clerk. And from junior file clerk, I moved from position to position in Mutual. Thank God I was able to do that. And I landed in data processing. So that's the backstory of how I became a programmer. And that's how I got enough confidence to leave in 1985 and start work at Direct Connections. So keep your options open. Do not let anyone break that joy, take that joy out of your heart. The heart of a servant leader, how can I explain that? Because I didn't realize how I became a servant leader until I started putting this speech together. But during that time, I really did pay attention to how I interacted with people. I wasn't the smartest person in the room, but what I did learn was how to find out the information that I needed to help them get beyond being stuck. It took me 15 years to understand how my brain and my heart were wired. My message for you today is to search deep within yourself and ask the question, am I on the right path to finding my joy in what I do? And the bigger question is, why am I doing what I'm doing? Is this what I truly should be doing? Because you shouldn't have any reservations of going into your job or, setting up an appointment with a client. Now, I have some clients or potential clients who don't last long because we do not fit. We just, they are the hard, what was that? They had a critical thinker. I think that's what Raquel Soto said this morning. She said there's types of leaders that you deal with in the world: the natural born leader, the influencer, the salt of the earth, and a critical leader. I like to think I'm the salt of the earth. Okay, I like to think that as salt, even though it's hard, it cleanses and refines things. I like to think that I come in and I make a difference, and that's what a servant leader does. A servant leader makes a difference in the heart of their team. They don't have to always be that, banging over the hammer, you must do this, you must do that. They actually bring you into the room and they say, okay, what do you think we need to do to overcome X, Y, and Z? And they go around the table. Okay. They allow their team to help fill in the blanks. They allow their team to feel good about themselves, not about them. Yeah, they'll get the credit at the end because they have such a wonderful team, but they don't have to be the one at the top at all times showing, look at me. It's like, look at my team. And something happened earlier today, and I forget who it was, where the team came together and everything worked out well. But anyhow, my other passion was writing, as you all know. I've been writing since the age of 12. And I told you about the Red Book situation. And I launched my publishing business in 1998. And my first book that I actually published, I actually became a published author in 2011 with my book, Joy Comes Through the Morning. And that talks about my experience as a widow and how I wrote letters to the Lord. I wrote letters to my husband who passed. I really, it's just amazing how many people go to their graves without telling their stories. And that's what I do as a servant leader. As an aspiring author or a first time author, I come alongside you, and that's the type of person you, not just me. There, believe me, Latasha, who's just on before me, Jemerson, she is awesome with working with writers. There are so many other people out there, but make sure that they are pouring into you and not just taking for themselves. Make sure they are working alongside you to make your story the strongest story that you could possibly write. And make sure they can introduce you to someone who not only can take your book and put it in a book fair where you're standing behind a table, but make sure they can help you build a platform where you have not only the physical book, you have an ebook, you have an audio book, you have the capability of developing a podcast around your topic. The whole thing core is working with someone who can help you build those individual parts. Now, of course, I've gotten off script as I normally do, but if you don't mind, I'm just going to jump back in. I have a three-tier proprietary system called Smart Publishing Lifestyles. And tier one is called Dare to Dream. And in Dare to Dream, it is all about publishing strategies and services, working closely with you to develop that mindset, business mindset of not just writing the book, but seeing where your book is going to be. I mean, this is your baby. You don't just want anybody to get your baby. You know, and that's why I call people like myself midwives to authors. We help birth that baby. But you know, help with the mindset, strategy, and all the essentials of manuscript development, including editing, proofreading, and even ghostwriting services. I've gotten books on my desk that were previously published by other people, but it was a mess. They did not take the time. They did not take the time to really make sure that they were producing a great product. Tier two is Dare to Grow. And that's the production and preparation of the visual effects. If are you going to do a video marketing video about this topic? There are individuals that can do cartoon images for you to bring your characters to life. There's so much that's out here now because of technology, and I just love the idea of working with talented people. I don't have to do it all myself. Once upon a time, because I'm a computer programmer, a web designer, an author, I did it all, but not anymore. I am blessed to have met individuals like Dr. Rob. I mean, and I have to say, the servant leader for me is Jose. Jose is such a wonderful individual who has just brought together this Connected Leaders Academy, such great individuals who do have a heart for serving. You know, there's another individual who I'm associated with, Terry Levine. Her company is Heartrepreneur. And I started a community called Smart Repreneur, which I will post or email you if you want to join my community. I just have so many things going on. I have to be still. And then tier number three is where you build that platform, which we're doing right now, and I'm promoting. Not being afraid. Don't be afraid to talk about your baby. I mean, parents have children that they're proud of. They don't want their kids just to stay home and play these games on. They want them to grow beyond playing the games on TV. Of course, I don't have any children, so I'm really not, an expert in that area. But anyway, tier three, that's where you arrange for your book signings and your social media events, virtual parties. Thank God for Zoom. It has opened the world up to so many individuals who would not have an opportunity to share what they do, whether it's writing or coaching or whatever. I mean, even musical concerts. I attended one the other night, and it was virtual, and it was awesome. So thank God for technology. And then also podcasting. I have a podcast that's on hiatus, but I will be relaunching in January, Smart Talks with One Smart Lady. And I have to tell you about that smart talk, that smart thing. My last name is Smart. I was blessed to marry Willie Richard Smart in 2008. And I was really just working with Direct Connections and Gladstone Publishing. But then when I met Will, and everybody was telling me how smart I was. I became One Smart Lady, and then I launched One Smart Lady Production. So everything I do, you'll see smart in front of it. Like I have a smart money hub, smart repreneur community. So it's not that I have a big head about being smart. It's just my last name. That's who I am. When people comment about it, I say, well, you want to see my driver's license? It says smart on my driver's license. The government says I'm smart. So anyway, I just, again, it's it's hard for me again to give anything other than the key attributes that I mentioned before. How do you develop into being a servant leader? It's basically the core thing is to find out what is your passion? What are you willing not only to help yourself grow, but to help others grow? You don't have to have a physical team like a corporation. Like I don't have a corporation. I had a conversation with someone the other day. I don't have a corporation. But I have teams of people that I can call on who have their own companies and who have their own passions. It's because I help them develop through their writing. Their books have become the core part of what they do. So, what is your passion? What is it that you're passionate about, and who can help you grow your community? I don't have a whole lot of much more time left, but I hope that my message about being a servant leader came across about truly it's what you have to offer and how you can really help someone. One of the things I told you about is my writing. If you can, keep a journal. I've kind of slacked off the past couple of weeks, but every morning I would write a journal and I would start it off, Dear Lord, I give my, oh my goodness, my life. That's another story. I tell you about my 4 marriages. I told you I'm a lady that I like a lot of stuff. But 2 of my marriages did end in death. Donald, I was married to for 20 years, and Willie I was married to for I think 11 or 12 years. But they were my last 2 husbands. And from them, I really learned who I was. And I really learned how to be a caregiver because both of them were my age. And no, they weren't. Well, I go back. Donald was 13 years older than I was. So he was the first person that I really had to learn how to become a caregiver for. And then Willie was my age. And to watch him gave me to watch him go through what he went through. And I told you a couple of years ago, the Lord told me to be still because I was doing so much. And when I learned to be still, I learned to focus on his needs and I learned to focus on what he needed to do. My business took a back burner, but I called it the Caregiving Entrepreneur. I started a podcast called the Caregiving Entrepreneur, where I will be interviewing individuals who, like I had to do, take care of my husband, Will, who, he was fine. I got a call when I was away on a trip that I needed to come and sit and watch this video on peritoneal dialysis. And he went on dialysis in, I guess it was November of 2021, and he passed away that March 2022, just that quick. So you never know who's going to be with you the very next day when you open your eyes. That's why it's so important to not only focus on what you're passionate about and what you want to do with your life, but how you can help the people around you. I am Deb Smart, your one smart lady in publishing, and I truly hope that my presentation has been a blessing.
Thank you for participating in today's enlightening session. As we transition to our next expert, remember that each strategy and insight is a step toward becoming a transformative leader in your field. Visit connectedleadersacademy.com to stay engaged and informed. The journey of change is ongoing. Let's move forward together.